So last week I showed you how I converted some ground beef into 3 different dishes using pasta and potatoes and rice. And this week I'm going to do the same with a piece of salmon that I bought. And I'm going to do something similar, but also a little bit different. I'm going to make a pasta dish. This one's going to be a cold pasta dish, a fish pie, and a fish curry. So let's get started. You can see that the first thing I'm going to do is just poach the salmon very lightly. I just want to cook it a little bit so that it'll flake easily, and then I'm going to divide it into 3 parts. I'm going to put away 2 of the parts, and today I'm just going to make the fish pie. Now the fish is poaching gently and should be ready in just a few minutes, and once it is, I will then flake up some pieces for the pie and put the rest away in the refrigerator for another day. And meanwhile, I've got some potatoes that I'm going to mash. I don't need to show you that process. I've just got 1 potato cooking. I just wanted to have a small amount of pie because last week I made a rather large amount of pie with the ground beef and I ended up eating it for 3 days. I don't really want to do that this time, so I'm just going to use 1 potato and a small piece of fish to make a small pie. I'm going to add some peas and some flavorings and mix it all together and bake it. So you can see the salmon didn't take very long to poach. It's now easily broken up into flakes. I just put my fork into it and took off 1 part. I'm going to flake off the rest of it, and I'm going to wait for my potatoes to cook, then I'll mash them, and then I'll show you the finished fish pie. Very English dish. Flaked fish and mashed potatoes mixed together. I'm going to add some peas just for color and for a little bit of taste as well, and some chopped fresh parsley. So from this point I'm going to turn to still photography, and I will show you the next steps in the pie and also the next steps with pasta and with rice. So I mashed the potato and then mixed in some peas and the flaked salmon, and forgetting of course that fish pie in England is always made with boiled eggs as well. So added some boiled eggs, mixed everything together, and then baked, and this is the finished pie. I added a little bit of hot sauce because it seemed a little bland. And so I've also got a little bit of color too. I've got the green of the peas and chopped parsley, the yellow of the egg, and the red of the hot sauce. It's called sambal ulek from Java. And it was delicious. Not quite like a classic English fish pie, which normally has a bit more potato. But I didn't want to make a giant fish pie that I was going to end up eating for 3 days like I ended up with the cottage pie last week. Now realize that this is not like a cottage pie. It's not a fish, peas, and egg filling with mashed potato on top. It's all mixed together and then baked. And perfectly delicious. Okay, that's day one. Day two, I decided to make a pasta dish, and I boiled up some linguine, and then in my skillet I had some cream with some dill, to which I added the salmon flakes, and then when the pasta was al dente, I added that, tossed it all around, and that was a great hot dish. I had originally thought that I was going to make a cold dish, but that was a great hot dish. But I only used half of the salmon and half of the linguine. The other half of the salmon and linguine I put together in a bowl with lemon and capers and olive oil and fresh chopped parsley, tossed it all around, and put it in the refrigerator for a cold pasta dish. So now I've got two pasta dishes, a hot one and a cold one. So that took me another day to make, and 2 days in total to eat. Now we come to the final day. And I said I was going to make a fish curry. That was actually misspeaking. I had intended to make kedgeree. Kedgeree is an interesting dish because it's technically from India, but it was actually invented by Indian cooks cooking for British colonial officers and other civil servants in India. Kedgeree, originally, the Hindi word, is a name for a dish that is a mixture of rice and lentils and other things. But the Anglo-Indian dish kedgeree is fish and rice and eggs and curry spices all mixed together. And it's been around for over 100 years, and it's a very, very popular breakfast dish in England under certain circumstances. Usually used to be a Friday dish, a meatless Friday. You can't have your classic, bacon and sausage and egg breakfast, and so instead you have kedgeree. Not complicated to make. You start with a little sauce. It's very unusual for a rice dish. You start with a sauce, a little bit of cream, or could be fish stock, but in this case I had cream, curry spices, mix them together in a skillet, add the flaked salmon, stir it all around. Meanwhile, cook basmati rice and boiled eggs, and then when the rice is cooked, dump it into the salmon mix and stir it all around and add the eggs, and you've got kedgeree. So there's me bringing the changes for a second week in a row, this time with fish. Next time when we meet again is going to be the day after my birthday. My birthday is March 30th, which is next Monday, and I will be cooking for myself, as I often do, because I live by myself, and my plans to travel have all exploded because of the coronavirus. So I'm going to be alone, and I don't really want to eat a lot. I used to make tremendous feasts, even just for myself, when I lived alone on my birthday. Originally, I used to make big feasts for the whole family on my birthday, or for friends, but I'm alone now, so I don't want to make a big feast because I don't eat that much. So we'll see. You'll see what I make for my birthday when I figure it out. And meanwhile, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on Friday for more talk about probability and whatnot, and in particular, what's happening around the world as people cope with the COVID-19 virus and isolation and social distancing. So I'll see you then.